Okay, so now that I've seen this movie, I am anxiously waiting for the moment that I get to use the term a fraud marriage in a conversation. I cannot, a fraud marriage? Yeah, I cannot wait. But ladies and gentlemen, regardless, this is Mikey Madison's coming out party to let us all know she is a superstar. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sean Baker's Anora. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, this is my review for Sean Baker's Anora, starring Mikey Madison, Mark Edelstein, Yuri Borsarov, I hope that's how you say his name, Vash Tovmasyan, okay, I guess that's how you say his name, and it was directed by Sean Baker, and our story, as simply as I can put it, follows a young girl who is essentially a sex worker, escort, exotic dancer, however you want to put the terms. Mikey Madison is basically a young girl working her ass off in New York, literally, trying to just make ends meet, and she meets this young Russian kid who literally gives her a Cinderella story of a lifetime where he literally just pays her to be his girlfriend. Then it ends up being some exotic journey to a marriage that happens, and it ends up that this is not the marriage she thought it was. It ends up being a fraud marriage, and essentially his family comes down and some chaos reigns because they don't agree to this marriage itself. And honestly, that's the best way I can put it. Basically what happens is Mikey Madison meets this young rich asshole who basically gives her the entire world, or it makes it seem like he's giving the entire world on a platter, until his parents find out that he married a prostitute or sex worker, exotic dancer. The most respectful way I can put that, he married a prostitute, and essentially, yeah, shit goes haywire, guys. That's the gist of the movie. That's the best way I can put it. But look, guys, I am honestly here to just tell you that Anora is probably, like I said in the title of my video here, it's probably the most hilarious and at the same time one of the most heartbreaking films I've seen all year. And it's so ridiculous because 95% of this movie is absolutely hysterical. Okay, maybe 95 is a stretch. 90% of this movie is hysterical. I mean, absolutely hilarious, especially the first half. And the first half really kind of just eases you into the story. It eases you into Anora's life, who this girl is, essentially the things that she has to do, the obnoxious men she has to deal with, the routine she has to go through night after night after night just to make some money, just to get guys' attentions and be able to do what she needs to do to make ends meet. And then once you get into, not necessarily the second half, but once you get into the part of the story where she meets the Russian kid, Ivan, you really start to see essentially just morals and values that, you know, they don't necessarily show all at once, but it's like the more time she spends with this kid, the more time that she honestly gets to see who he is before she actually knows who she is. Or the more time she gets to spend with him before she actually finds out who he really is as a person, you really start to see the things that she values in life as far as like love, and essentially just like how not very easy it is for someone in her line of work to just trust someone like this and give her heart to someone and be able to love someone fully like this, because it's hard to know in this line of work when somebody's actually loving her for her. And then, oh my God, like I said, I didn't say this, but Sean Baker absolutely cooked in this film. It was brilliantly put together, and I love the way the story was told. But like I said, it is 90% hilarious and 10% heartbreaking. But at the same time, once you get to that 10% of the heartbreaking part of this film, honestly, on a rewatch, you probably won't laugh as much anymore because you realize just how serious of a tale this actually is. So before I get into what I absolutely adored about the storytelling aspect of this movie, let me start with the woman we all came to see and the reason that this movie was made in the first place, Mikey Madison. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but Sean Baker literally watched Scream 5 and said to himself during that movie, I want this woman to be Hollywood's next up star actress. And he immediately started writing Anora afterwards, and I can truly say to you guys, this is one of my favorite movies of the year. This is easily one of my favorite performances of the year. Mikey Madison was fearless. She was confident, she was sexy, she was vulnerable, she was like everything you truly need this character to be. She became that, and she went beyond it. She completely captures she embodies the entire essence of what a regular New Yorker is. Like, she has the accent down, she has the attitude down, and she's just a brilliant actress. I mean, watching her work in this movie was nothing short of phenomenal. It was nothing short of tremendous. It was nothing short of an Oscar-nominated performance. She was that good. She should be nominated for an Oscar for this movie. I thought Mikey Madison absolutely blew me away from beginning to end with this role. Beyond that, all the performances actually in this movie are tremendous, and I gotta give a shout out. As much as he was a terrible character, the Mark Edelstein, who plays Ivan, aka Vanya, her romantic interest in this film, he played the role to perfection. And like I said, well, not like I said, but this movie plays itself in a tale of two halves. In the first half, you get the fairy tale aspect of this movie, where she's like not necessarily falling for this guy, because she's trying to figure out if all of this stuff he's promising her is even real, and she needs him to know this is a strictly financial relationship, and he's okay with that. He's having the time of his life, but he just keeps, upping the stakes, and she's trying to figure out if all this is real. So that the first half of this movie is more so the fairy tale aspect, and then the second half of this movie is the chaotic coming down of that fairy tale aspect. And it's honestly, you come down pretty hard, and there's so much chaos and stuff going on, but it's told so tremendously. And this guy that plays Vanya, Mark Edelstein, the two sides to the character of Vanya that he plays in this movie are absolutely amazing. He played the foolish playboy, just not giving a fuck type character in the first half so well. It was so funny just watching him just be introduced to American customs as far as prostitution and things like that, or at least just over in this country. But he just was acting like he was experiencing things he never had before in Russia, and now that he's here, he just never wants to leave. It's basically like the American dream, as you would say. But he's experiencing that, and he does that, and he plays that phenomenally. But then the narcissistic asshole that he turns into in the second half of this film, he played it too well. He played it all so perfectly. I absolutely loved his performance, and honestly, he's hilarious. The first half of this movie absolutely had me dying laughing, and the second half had me dying laughing too. But we'll talk about it. Look, there is another performance in this movie that absolutely I feel like is one of the most underrated, and he gets his opportunity to shine in the second half. The guy who plays Igor, Yuri Borisov, I'm probably not saying that name right, but he played the character of Igor, and Mikey Madison is my favorite character in this movie, but honestly, Igor is making, the more and more this movie sits with me, and I feel like I honestly need to see this movie again to really know if I really feel this way, but the more and more I let this movie sit with me, the more and more Igor is like creeping up. He can't surpass Mikey Madison, but he got pretty close to getting at least next to her as far as his performance goes. And like I said, it's more so how the story is told. All credit to Sean Baker, because it's a tale of two halves. In the first half, you get the fairy tale aspect between Igor and Anora. And the second, I'm not Igor anymore, you get it between Ivan and Anora, or Vanya and Anora. In the second half of this film, you get more so of an insight of how she necessarily deals with others. Now that, the fairy tale aspect is over, you get an insight of how she responds to other guys trying to necessarily have a relationship with her, or have just regular conversation with her. The dynamic between her and Igor the entire second half of this film really shows you just how Mikey Madison really responds to what love is in this world of hers, and how she necessarily sees it and how she responds to it. And once you get to the last 10% of this movie, Once you get to the very last 10%, even the final frame itself, the last 30 seconds of this movie, is when the entire glass just shatters right in front of your eyes, because you realize that what you've been entertained by, what you've been dying laughing at, what you've been absolutely just engaged with for the last 2 hours is actually a very heartbreaking tale of a girl just being exploited, and just a kid not giving a single fuck about how he treated her and what he promised her and any of that. And it was all credit to Sean Baker's storytelling, all credit to Mikey Madison's acting. But the second half of this movie, or I'm sorry, the last 10% of this movie truly broke me. And I sat there after the credits just sitting there trying to figure out what to do next, because I couldn't move. I was stuck in my seat in complete awe and astonishment at how I literally felt bad for enjoying the first 90% of that movie. Like I said, the first half is a fairy tale aspect I was completely into. It was funny, it was heartwarming, it was charming, it was all of that stuff. Then you get to the second half, and it's just complete and utter chaos. It's insanity, but it's funny as hell. There is a 10-minute segment in this movie that had me dying laughing when it came to Anora and the bodyguards that, or I guess they can call them bodyguards. I don't know, the security team, whatever you want to call them. Basically, the people that work for his parents. There's a 10-minute segment of an interaction. I'm just going to call it that. There's an interaction between Anora and the security guards, and it's hilarious. One of the most hilarious sequences I've seen all year. Then you continuously move on into the second half of the movie, and honestly, once Anora meets his parents, that is another phenomenal scene in this movie as well, because it's just like, you see where the kids come from. Like, you really get to meet his mom, his dad, and it's just an amazing way to truly break down what this story is, if that makes sense. I know I'm kind of teetering off a little bit here, but look, guys, this movie was truly something to behold. It is honestly something that I am going to call a classic. I truly think Sean Baker here, and it's so crazy because the more, now that I'm truly doing this review and the more I'm talking about it, the rating has gone up in my head. The rating has definitely gone up. But this movie truly had me absolutely baffled at how amazing it was. Like, beyond the amazing performances, the cinematography is gorgeous. The movie is gorgeous in general, but the storytelling aspect of this, the things that Sean Baker wants you to feel throughout the film, and then just completely hits you like a train in the last 10% is ridiculous. Because I truly sat there feeling so bad that I just enjoyed a good portion of that movie, and then I found out maybe I wasn't supposed to be enjoying that actually at all. It's brilliant filmmaking. It's brilliant storytelling. Sean Baker was in his bag. Mikey Madison is a star. A star was truly born on the screen in this film here. She is to die for. And of course, you can all talk about, look, there are two actresses this year that have had their Margot Robbie Wolf of Wall Street moments, which means they came out on the screen butt naked and completely just had us all jaws on the floor, mainly because they were butt naked, but also because they were just amazing actresses. Margaret Qualley in The Substance, Mikey Madison in Anora. Mikey Madison in Anora, Mikey Madison in Anora, Mikey Madison in Anora. I truly cannot believe that I loved this movie as much as I did. Like, the trailers were amazing. I was excited for this movie. But I left truly just in awe. I left the theater truly just mind blown. Like, I was stuck. I rode home in silence. This movie is a drama, I think so. Like it says a comedy romance. Yeah, okay, yeah. It's definitely a comedy drama, I would say. But look, I drove home in silence because Sean Baker truly had me questioning whether or not I was really supposed to be enjoying all of that after that ending. It truly hit me so hard, but then at the same time I couldn't help but laugh at certain parts because it was just so funny. It was so much to enjoy in this movie, and all at the same time, once you get to that final 10%, you realize that, dude, this is a heartbreaking story. And it's all credit, like I said, to Mikey Madison's acting, because she truly does a great job of holding herself together even when the shit hits the fan. She's doing a great job of holding herself together, still trying to hold that strong, brave persona that she has. She's not trying to let it go. She's not trying to be vulnerable in front of these people. She's not trying to let them break her. She is truly just trying to be a woman of her own in this world. And I have the utmost respect for Mikey Madison after this performance. I cannot wait to see what else she is going to be in. I cannot wait to see what this girl does with her career, because it's ridiculous. I really hope I get to see Mike Edelstein again, the guy who played Vanya. He was tremendous. The guy who plays Igor. Hope I get to see a lot of these actors again, because their comedic timing is ridiculous. And the movie in general is just really one of those where the more you watch, I think the more you would fall in love with the entire story itself. But then at the same time, the more you watch this, the more you'll realize, like, more stuff will just be revealed to you as you rewatch this film. I think this is a very rewatchable movie because it's that entertaining throughout a good portion of it. There's only the ending where you realize that, yo, this is actually a lot more serious than we took it, or at least than I took it. But look, guys, overall, Anora is, like I said, one of the most hilarious and at the same time one of the most heartbreaking stories I have seen all year. And it is one that I truly think audiences need to see. I think this movie will be a cult classic, and honestly just be a classic in general. This is one of my favorite movies of the year. Truly, the more I think about it, I mean, look, it might not be a stretch, but it might be one of my favorite movies of the decade. Granted, that list is probably up to like 15. Yeah, like 15. There's probably 15 movies on there, or at least 15 movies I can think of that could be on my best of the decade list. But Anora truly is on there. And for all those reasons and so many more, guys, I'm going to give Anora a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Okay, guys, so Anora, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Look, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff and so much more. Look, this is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.